Okay, this is round 3 of the World Cup warm-up tournament. I'm on 2 wins at the moment, and this guy is the only other guy on 2 wins, which is pretty cool in our league. So lots and lots of draws, basically. So we are at the top of the table. It's his Dark Elves against my Lizards. Some standard Dark Elf action with a Wrestle Witch and 2 Dodge Blitzers. Let's see how the game plays out. Obviously, my Lizards just with their 3 block. So going for the symmetric setup against a fast team, I tend to play asymmetric against slow teams and symmetrical against fast, weak teams. So I've got the Croxagore in the middle there, so he can dedicate lots of players to try and knock down the Croxagore, obviously strength 5 against strength 3, or he can ignore it. See how he goes. So quite a short kick. I've got an extra reroll, which is always a bonus. And he is going to try to take down the Croxagore. So you've got these 3 players there. And actually he just 1-diced it. So I had to put an extra assist in there obviously and then 2-diced it. But he went for the 1 dice. I didn't particularly have any blitz targets up here, so I thought I'd just try and take out the lone Dark Elf, which is probably why he sort of stuck him there in the first place, just to avoid the blitz going up there. But it wasn't a huge problem because I didn't need my blitz for anything else particularly. So I'm just going to base a few players, bring a skink around the back to keep him honest, and then I both downed, just to finish off there. So as long as he doesn't make, well, he doesn't particularly need to make progress. I watched a previous game of his and he's quite happy just chilling out at the back. Skink went down, and so always a bonus when a skink goes down and doesn't get his armor broken. And then he's just dodging away. So ideally I'd like him to fail one of those and just use up his rerolls nice and early. So that was the idea of basing. He was obviously going to dodge away, but he hasn't got that much dodge at this stage. So that's fine. I'm just going to turn the sound off. Yeah, so just marking up there. That was a bonus pow on the Witch Elf, and so tackle zone on the ball. He's got dodge on the runner. So easy to get away, but it's just forcing stuff. Oh yeah, and that was the idea, was to get the Croxagore next to the runner, so that makes it a 3-up dodge away, and also obviously difficult. He gets stand firm on day 3 of the World Cup, which makes this strategy a bit nicer. And then failed. Go for it there. I used. Oh yes, that was a bit of a mess up basically, because I could have brought this player around here. I basically realised I had a massive gap in the middle, and I'd quite like to close it, but I only noticed that once I had this last skink, and then I got punished for it by having to use a reroll and still stun myself. I could probably have got away with not using the reroll obviously, but then the skink might have died and that would have been sad, so I used the reroll there. Yeah, think through your turn, people, is the moral of the story. So he's blitzing the Croxagore. Now obviously with that blitz there, it was only 1 dice blitz, but also he needed a POW to get rid of the Croxagore, or both down, so it was 50-50, but the push is no good to him, because that still leaves him with a 3-up dodge. Just thinking about it, let's skip back just a wee bit. Yeah, there was no way of getting a 1 dice without blitzing from there. Yeah, without blitzing the Croxagore away. So that was all he could do, so 50-50. And then forces the 3-up dodge, which he works. So all you could do really sometimes against teams is force 3-ups, and you know, so that's a 1 in 9 chance of going wrong, which is pretty good odds. So against good players, if you're forcing 3-up rolls with rerolls, then you're doing okay. Is my feeling, because something would hopefully go wrong at some point. So just putting bit of pressure on people, making it a little bit tricky for him to make any sort of progress up the pitch. Bonus knockout there, and then just a final tag on the ball carrier. So he chooses to blitz the skink and gets a bonus knockout. So he chooses to blitz the skink rather than dodging away with the runner, and the runner is forced to go backwards again. So he won't be too worried, I don't think, about going backwards, but if I can get pressure on the ball carrier, then that will be good. Pressure on the ball carrier in his own sort of 3 squares of his own end zone is a good thing. That was quite annoying. So the 3-up, 2-up dodge out there. Just wanted to punch him in the head really. and then running over there. So I have to sort of force to mark him. Now this turn I'm not sure about actually, because I basically end up basing a lot of his players, which seemed like a good idea at the time, but he's Elves, so he can just run away, whereas I can't just run away. So he was probably quite happy that lots of players were based. So my Croxagore is making some serious yards. I don't think he failed a single bonehead this match, which was fantastic. So yeah, so again I've got a 3-up, forcing him into a 3-up with the runner. And here I'm just basing his, so not much dodge around. So I'm just forcing. Do I base that one as well? Yeah, so I've basically based all of his players. So forcing any dodges if he wants to, but actually what he does is just stand up and mostly just sort of chill out. So he goes for the 1 die splits again, but this time all he needs is a push. So again, not going for the 3-up this time. And then, so the runner is now completely open. He's going to have to do some dodging to get away from. So he doesn't bother doing any dodging because he's basically stood players up. So I've got this skink, but apart from the skink, all the other players are based. So literally, it's a 1-to-1 all the way around the pitch. So I just take a block there, and then just so blocking with my lizards with block basically. And so if I knock this one down, that means that this skink can come around here and give an assist, which is nice. Oh, so in fact I'm blocking with those ones without block as well now. Risky. But I've got bonus, yeah. So dodge out there on, so again that's the 1 in 9 fats are going wrong. And then, so here, now I've got a 1 dice block on the ball carrier. He's got what? He's got dump off, but all his players are marked, so he see if he takes it or not. So he doesn't use dump off, and I skull, reroll skull, which is a little bit disappointing. So sometimes the dice just aren't that friendly. And then at this stage, yeah, so that sort of really helps him quite a lot, because then he can trundle up the pitch. 3-up dodge away there again from the yeah, so it makes the 3-up dodge away from the Crocs and then falls over. Now this is quite impressive reroll management from him, because it was his third last turn and he's got 2 rerolls, and he chooses not to use it to on the witch, just keeping 1 reroll per turn left. Reroll management is one of the key skills of being a good Blood Bowl player. No, I'm not sure whether I'd gone there, but whether I'd used one there or not, but maybe he's better than me. Let's find out. So yeah, again, just a load of 2 dice blocks. No dead elves, which is a bit disappointing. Croxagore still on the move, which is great. So here I have used my reroll this turn, and I go for it, and then go for it again. He does use dump off this time, but it was a 4-up. That was a 4-up quick pass because I had two tackle zones on the ball, but it works. And I managed to, but it's a double both down basically, because no block on that Saurus, so that was a bit rubbish. Lineman on the ball now, which mostly makes it easier to get down if you can get to him. And so he gets a few players around the ball, some outrageous dodging there. So 3-up, 2-up, not with dodge, so not that outrageous. Pows that skink, which is a bit of a blow. And stuns him, which is more of a blow, and then dodging out there. So he dodges out. Now he uses the reroll. That's an obvious reroll to do because he's got 2 rerolls left in 2 turns. And then he has to make a choice whether he stays there or goes for another dodge out. Obviously, if he gets the other dodge out, then it's really good. But if he fails the dodge out, then I've got a loose Saurus there. So he decides to stop there and force the dodge. Now this is annoying. So that's a 4-up, 3-up dodge out without a reroll, which works. Didn't actually need to do that at all. Did that have a reroll? Can't even remember if he... Yeah, no, he had dodge, so it wasn't that audacious. But, so I'm only left with 1 thing, and sometimes with lizards you are only left with 1 thing, which is the Saurus dodge. So do some other stuff, and then dodge out with the Saurus. Makes it with a 6, hurrah! Comes in and blitzes So I use push and then knock him down, which is lovely. And then just mark up a few players and try and make it difficult for him on his last turn, basically. I've got a spare skink there, which is cool, so I just go and stand next to the ball, no need to try and pick it up particularly, and then force him to do things. So he plays this exactly right, blocking the Saurus out of the way. Actually, and then comes in and blitzes the skink, and only gets, now that's really key, that is, actually, because only getting the push there means that there's another dodge needed. So actually the runner's got dodge, so it doesn't actually matter. So dodges out, needs the reroll to pick up the ball, dodges past him, but that didn't matter, and then failed to go for it because he used the reroll, and then failed to go for it. So I was happy at this stage. Hadn't hurt any elves, I don't think, and knocked out, but I'd stopped him scoring on his drive, albeit with a audacious Saurus dodge. But I'll take that. So I'm going in 1-0 and receiving the ball. So all I need to do is to play nice and conservatively and score at some point would be good. So all I'm doing here is literally making a cage, and the Croxagore didn't do anything there, just to be a roadblock. Yeah, just avoiding the bonehead basically. He gets in the way in a Dark Elf style, nice column defense. Knocks down my, but then a little bit of pressure on the skink there. Yeah, I got an excellent casualty on the Witch Elf, so that's a good thing. Now, I think I played this turn badly, so I'm going to make a cage in the middle here, whereas I think I could have got a quite tasty one over on the side. But then does it make any difference? So I'm going to cage up in the middle just because he's got that sort of separates his team out. So if I'd made one over on the side, I'd have had one Saurus out of sorts, whereas he'd have had 3 of these players down here, basically out of the way. But that's not bad. So yeah, nice dodge there with a skink to finish off. So then he basically goes quite full on here. So he's blitzing that player, and then he moves. Yes, gets the stun, and then engages with the runner, and then just stands up the line elf. So all I want to do, and then gets a, I think he gets a 1 dice pow on the Crocs, which sort of changes my plan slightly because it means that this guy's engaged. So, my plan here is just to get everyone away from my cage and just leave the cage where it is. The Croxagore being on his backside made that a little bit more irritating. But yeah, so I cleared out one side, but then obviously the other side's a little trickier to clear out. Now, did I need to follow up there? I think that was possibly a mistake, so following up there, I'm not sure what else I could have done on that one actually. So I'm blitzing in there, but he rolls a double both down without, oh no, he just pushes. Oh, he just pushes. Right, okay. Now, so I get the pushback, and then I stay where I am and just bring the skink back there. So obviously I've got the cage, but this is not secure in any way because he's got a 1 dice block on there which opens up this corner of the cage. So, just trying to think what I could have done differently. This, I could have dodged out with that skink actually, and then come around to there maybe? Possibly not. But yeah, I didn't didn't play that turn tremendously well, because what happens now, unfortunately, so he brings in there and gets a 1 dice pow on the Saurus, and then gets a 2 dice, one both down on the Skink, and the ball bounces very nicely for him. Yeah, so then he picks up the ball and dodges out. Needs a reroll to pick it up, but he's got the ball on my drive. And from then on, it's a little bit rubbish, to be honest. So I'm gonna. Basically, it's not very exciting from then on. So I had sort of one possibly bad turn, I think, where. Well, I think caging up in the middle. I don't tend to cage up in the middle, and so maybe we've discovered why. So I just do my best at this stage, but he scores. So he goes 1-0 up. And then I've already got 2 turns to score back, and I double both down straight away, so he gets the ball. And then he goes 2-0. So 2-0 was a bit harsh, but yeah, he played very well, and I muffed up at some point. Yeah, had a bad turn. These things happen. Straight on to the next one, which will appear shortly.